What are the signs that someone is fake rich? They try too hard to sound like they're rich. I work with business owners as part of my work. The ones who are definitely very wealthy are usually very type A personalities. They are very direct. They get things done when they need to get done, and don't have time to bullshit around with proving how rich they are. The ones who are bullshitters will boast themselves up, but not be able to back it up. They'll try to squeeze their big money purchases into a normal conversation. How are you terrible? I can't decide what Tesla I want to buy. They'll say things like I'm making so much money I'm struggling to find things to spend it on. Then they'll try to haggle down a $10 order, or ask if a $50 order can be paid in installments. When they keep exclaiming about how rich they are, bragging about all their top-notch purchases they made that day week, and flail around their money or credit cards. The majority of the time they're just broke. It's someone else's stuff, or they're using credit cards like crazy and going deep into debt that they can't recover from. I grew up on a horse farm where my family trained show horses for some pretty wealthy people, and a lot of posers. It's true that wealth whispers. The truly wealthy people in our circle were not overly flashy, or loud about it. They owned top quality things, clothing, cars, horse equipment, and kept these things meticulously maintained, but I don't recall seeing a lot of overt branding logos. The biggest differentiator was their reason for being involved in the horse show scene. They truly loved riding and animals, and it was a big part of their family life. Multi-generational involvement. They came to the barn, rode often, loved to groom their horses and spend time with them. The fake rich were usually in the scene for a few years at most, had a bunch of cheap yet flashy equipment, were loud, and invited their friends out to the shows to drink champagne and show them how fancy they were. They never came out to the barn, never wanted to groom the horses, or really care about them. They usually got kicked out of their barns for failure to pay training bills. LOL. Name droppers that mention wealthy people they claim to know to impress others. Actual rich people have nothing to prove. It's why you generally see that people who are filthy rich and people who are poor tend to be on the same wavelength. They don't wear flashy clothes or feel the need to tell anyone how rich they are or flaunt what they've been buying. Mind you, that doesn't apply to new money, so who knows? Like for example those fucking Kardashians. When they talk about the rich people things they do like it's out of the ordinary and you should be impressed. I worked an internship with a kid who was actually wealthy, like got paid every week and just left the paychecks in a drawer in his house, and would give student loans to his friends with zero interest. He would talk about taking like month-long trips in Asia, Europe and flying to random places on a whim, and other weird rich people activities like they were regular activities. We could never get upset with him because he was just talking about his weekend. It just so happens that his weekend was spent at a party for a company he invested a bunch of money in. He's also fun to talk to because he can sniff out fake rich people like a fucking drug dog. I work in wealth management. There is a huge difference between being rich and being wealthy. Our wealthy clients are, for the most part, very lovely people. They have manners and consideration for others. They aren't flashy and they don't talk about what they own and have, but you see that they own all good quality products. They are also not crazy demanding. They don't yell at you, and they don't expect something for coming downtown. If I saw any of these clients out and about, we'd have a pleasant conversation. I wouldn't be hiding in the bathroom until they leave. The rich are people that are usually making under $100,000 but want you to think that they have millions. Everything is a negotiation because they don't want to or can't pay their bills in full. They are beyond demanding. They are rude and yell at you for things you can't control, like what the Dow closed at. And they take none of your advice and then blame you for them deviating from the plan. And if they own a BMW, oof. Get ready for a shitstorm client. Not all rich people own them. Not all BMW owners are jerks. And not all jerks drive BMWs. But they are the number one car of rich jerks. The wealthy tend to dislike BMW. And don't worry, they'll let you know that they have a BMW and you'll pretend like you're impressed. Obviously I have to be nice and friendly since they're clients. When they say they have 6 private jets but they only have 4. Come on Gregory, I know you're bullshitting me. The rest aren't at your uncle's house. Fucking pathetic what poor people are doing these days. I have this theory that the larger the polo icon is on their shirt, the lesser the chances are they know anything about the sport of polo. You could expand that out to large logos in general. Actually, let's just expand this out even more. They spend more time talking about what they are buying wearing than they do talking about what they are doing. There's a great study out there called Signaling Status with Luxury Goods, The Role of Brand Prominence, 2010. You should be able to find it quite easily if you're interested. The main gist is the confirmation that with almost every luxury brand, the more expensive the product is, the smaller, more subtle the logo will be, since the flashy clothes will be bought not by people who appreciate the brand for its quality etc., but by those who want to signal something to their peers, namely that they are elevated by being able to afford a luxury brand. Many companies have fully bought into that. Think of Armani Exchange, who have shirts for as little as $30 and which is, dare I say, exclusively worn by people who want the word Armani to be on their shirt. It has very little to do with the actual Armani. When they brag about being rich, buying an expensive car, etc. For really rich people, a luxury car or an expensive house is regular stuff. You won't hear them brag about it. They'll brag about other stuff. You'll see a rich guy pull up in a brand new Rolls Royce and he'll brag about how well he did in the golf game last weekend. Just Google their LinkedIn account and Glassdoor their salary, then determine if they can afford the purchases with wiggle room or if they are likely paycheck to paycheck. Boom. Used to work in a trust department of a major regional bank. The asshole in the Armani was in debt to his eyes. The nice old couple with old car, old house and clothes from Sears. Staggering wealth. No ego, no attitude. I met a bunch of them. I had to do repair on a pool in an office building. Turns out the space was the clubhouse, and not the main location of business. Everything was brand new, including expensive and large televisions, chrome and crystal office chairs, and premium light fixtures in the fucking utility stairwell. The service techs were not allowed to sit on the furniture or walk on the carpet. I said to my boss that the business will go under during the next recession, no doubt. Too much was spent in the employee play area, and too extravagantly. I saw through the illusion they were trying to create. Our actual wealthy and secure customers aren't so obvious about it. Firearms post from me. A guy I shoot with is loaded. He's never told me. How do I know? All his firearms are in great condition. Some of his guns look like they're fresh finished and polished for museum display. And whatever accessories he runs are always top shelf stuff. And some of these guns are old, would definitely be collector's items, like old Savage models in boutique calibers. I've never seen him in anything that isn't exactly normal, but he's always well pressed, business casual or jeans with a nice polo. His clothes are holding up to wear extremely well, and the stitching is fantastic. I've never heard him ever say anything like, but I shoot Y because X is too expensive. If there's something he wants to shoot, he just brings it. His ammo is pretty much always really good brass stuff. Never seen Tulamo, Winchester white box, American Eagle, etc. in his lane. He's there with the consistency that people who shoot seriously either for work or competition have, but he's involved in neither. Range and ammo bills mount fast. Fake rich and new money are almost identical. The only difference is quantity. Both will be decked out in Gucci and Versace and likely Supreme. But fake rich will be taking photos with their mom's A4 and new money will be taking photos with their own Lamborghini. I see this a lot in my profession. They drive a luxury car that isn't too old, but they never fix anything and can't afford to trade it in when repairs are needed. Even predictable maintenance expenses and low-cost repairs are just too much for them to handle. At the first sign that their vehicle needs a common repair, they begin complaining about how it's been a lemon without any understanding of what a real lemon is in this context or how common the repair in question really is. I married into money and come from an area where old money hides what it has unless you are invited into their homes. The thing is, what the new rich don't realize is that old money is very amused by their status preening, and it is true what they do value is of the best quality and is kept for years. Hello 15-year-old riding boots, scuffed all to hell and yet my favorite pair still. Oh boy. Driving an entry-level car that can be leased with even halfway decent credit. Mercedes Volvo S60, Acura TLX, Buick Regal GS, Buick Regal Sportback, Cadillac ATS, Lexus RC, Lexuses, etc. Wearing pseudo-designer clothes. Nothing wrong with either of these, so take these and add bragging and there you are. The wealthiest people I've ever met drive Hondas, no debt, wear clothes that are of great quality and last long, and own a small, well-kept home. The fattest rich people I've ever met drive BMWs, wear flashy streetwear, Supreme, bathing ape, and still live in their parents' basement because they aren't wise with their spending. Not saying all people who still live with their parents are fake rich, but all the lavish spending on material goods could be invested in a decent living situation of their own for some people. I dunno if it's a regional thing around here, but it seems most dudes in their 20s around here wear cheap navy suits, drive leased BMWs, have the most garish golden watches, post all of the above on Instagram weekly to flex. Like, that's most of my high school class there.